Well, I'm sitting here, got a little time, so I've had several people ask. I guess they like the information they got on the videos, looking at the load board. So, um, when I listen to them, it just sounds like I'm giving way too much random information, but apparently it's useful. So here we go. I'm not home right now, but normally I live in Nacogdoches, and that's where I'm gonna look right now. And this is the DAT board. I use all the load boards, any one of them that I could possibly use. I search them all, but I end up booking 90% of my loads either off Truckstop or the DAT board. And the reason I do that is because all those other boards, all those other carriers, they have their own apps and their own load boards, but they also put those loads on the DAT board and Truckstop. Um, Most of them do. So here we are. Just going to look 150 miles around uh, my hometown for power only. And let's see what we got. 60 loads. All right, starting off this top one. Rate looks really good except for the weight. Now, this can be very confusing as far as the weight. You see right there, it's Navasota to Cheyenne, Wyoming. And the weight says 61,803 pounds. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's way overweight. But not necessarily. Some of these carriers list the weight with the trailer included. So if you've got a truck that weighs 18,000 pounds, you're in business. But let's just take a look at it real quick. See, it doesn't really tell you. You'd have to call on that. But, most trucks, they weigh right at that 19,000 pound mark. So it's going to be kind of iffy on that one. But, that's a pretty good little run right there. You don't really hit any mountains until you just get right north of Denver there. It's kind of like a little uphill slant the whole way. All right, let's look at this one right here. Houston to Illinois, Dundee, Illinois. You see it says 12,000 pounds. And then right off the bat, it's 1,116 miles and they want to pay you $200. And you're thinking, oh, crap, I'm not taking that. But obviously it's a loadout. So let's look at it and see. Okay. Power only, 53-foot van, can load, which means it's a loadout. Most of them say loadout on there. I don't know why these people put can load on there. But so, you can go grab this van. Hopefully it's swing doors, because like I've said before, you get a lot of these loadouts where they only want to pay you, $300, $400, $500, and then you figure out it's a 48-foot non-working reefer. And the thing you got to be careful about is that when you're calling around for these van loads, most of these places will not load it unless it's a 53-foot van with swing doors. Even if it's a 53-foot with a roll door, a lot of them balk at it. And I've tried, on several occasions, just making a whole bunch of calls, because sometimes they list these things for $1,000 to move them. And you combine $1,000 with another really good van load, and you've got some good money there. But just be careful if you see these loads. Call on them, make sure they're swing doors, and then make your calls, for the van loads before you book this one. Sometimes you might get lucky. They might load, a van load on a reefer, but lots of times they won't. So, Houston to Stockton, I see that one constantly. Here you go. It's a loadout. It's a 53-foot van, but it's got roll doors. So, just make your call first on the, when you're getting these. Look on the van side, see if you can find a really good load, call on it, say, hey, I got a 53-foot van, but it's got roll doors, and make sure they'll take it first. One of the really the only complaint I have with the DAT board, and man, it is frustrating, is that you get these companies like RT&T, Global Trans, Big Bird. There's several of them that do it, but there may only be one trailer, or let's just say there's 4 or 5 trailers coming out of Houston and going to Stockton, California. Well, they compete with each other. They'll list that load 20, 50, 100 times a piece. Just trying to get their, listing on top of this load board. And what I'd try to do is I'll delete them, and then you can refresh in a little while, probably 30, 40 minutes, and they'll all be back. So this says, up at the top, you see loads available, 60 loads, but it's really not 60 loads. There's all these things that they just list over and over and over. And for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe you guys could tell me, anywhere you go, you will always see empty trailers going to Orting, Washington. I don't know if there's a place up there where they rebuild trailers or repurpose them, but you'll see every single type of trailer you can think of going to Orting, Washington. Let's see. Here's one going to Vegas. I see this one constantly. Have been for the last couple months. 40-foot bottom dump going to Vegas, in the Southwest out there, places like that. And this one's going to pay about $2 a mile. There's nothing special about that. I've heard guys say that, they don't want to do power only because they don't have the right type of equipment. And they, I guess you don't know what you don't know. But I have flatbed equipment, but I think I've used my equipment maybe twice since I've started doing this power only. And they will tell you beforehand. There are flatbed loads that are on power only, and they'll tell you beforehand whether or not you need your own equipment or use theirs. And truly, most of those flatbed loads you can get away. You just need a bar to tighten down the winches. Every once in a while you're riding down the road, you check and make sure the straps are tight. If they're not, use your bar. Super easy. I've tried this. I used to go to Vegas quite a bit, and I've tried to get these people to come up on this Vegas load. They're right at $2 a mile. They will not go up any at all on it. So, the $2 a mile is not a terrible rate for power only, but you've also got to consider the area you're going into, because you're not going to get anything coming out of Vegas, or you're going to sit and wait for something halfway decent to come out of there. Let's see. A lot of times this one on top, Shreveport to Louisiana to Colorado, they don't have a separate category for straight box truck, but you'll see these a lot in the power only. It's for a straight box truck. So sometimes you'll see some really good loads and you get all excited, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, it's for a box truck. Schneider, as I've said before, I'm on the Schneider app, and I've actually talked to a couple of Schneider guys and sort of compared loads on that app with loads they can see, and 80% of the loads on there are the same loads they have. They just have a few more choices on their load board in the areas that I was where we were talking at. The only way I can see that you can make halfway decent money doing these Schneider power only loads is if you just stayed with it. If you picked up, because let me explain. To do, say, this Houston to Dayton, Texas, if I wanted to do this load right here, I can't just go over there and pick this up. I'll book this load, and then they'll tell me, oh, you've got to go over to this different location, pick up an empty trailer, and either come over here and live load, or come over here, drop that trailer, and pick up your loaded trailer and go. And 90% of the time you live unload at the other end, and then you take that trailer to a different location, because they have to have their trailers, they've got their network, they have to have their trailers in specific locations. So it's not just going and picking up that load and dropping it. You're also doing trailer moves for them. And the only way that I can see that you can possibly make a really good check with these people is just to stay with them for a couple of weeks. And that way you're not constantly, if you're doing just one load every now and then, you're not doing those trailer moves constantly and wasting your time. You always have an empty with you. So, but the rates I've seen on them, or I've never seen a rate that that impresses me at all. So Laredo, when I first started power only, I thought, hey, Laredo is going to be a great power only market. You would, as busy as it is, you would think it would be a power only market, but no bueno. But this right here, coming out of Houston, going to Laredo, they're going to pay you $350, and then you also get the use of this van. And this is exactly what you want, 53 foot with swing doors. So yeah, this is a good deal right here. You can make some good money in one day. Let's see here. As you can see, there's another Schneider load. More of these Houston to Stockton, California by a different company. Let's see. Now, these are the loads that I jump on. Many people turn them down. Well, can't do this one because it's hazmat, as you can see down there at the bottom. But I love running out to West Texas, so I'll jump on those loads right there all the time. You just take your chances on what you get coming back. Okay, here we go. This one right here, this top one, when it says Houston to Houston, sometimes it really is a Houston, one side of Houston to the other side, but this one is going to be a round trip, and they're not going to give you any information on it. But you will see this Houston to Houston. You'll also see Austin to Austin and Dallas to Dallas. Believe these are Walmart loads, and I've called on this one, and they pay $900 a day. And it's a steady thing. They ask you for a 1 week commitment, and they say it's averages between 300 and 400 miles a day. And supposedly, the reason I balked at it at first, I never called on it, or when I did call on it, I never took them up on it, was everybody's heard the horror stories of going into Walmart. You have to be the strict time schedule and all that. And I talked to the guy about that, and he says, no, it's not like that on the power only side. The trailers are preloaded. You just show up anytime after the trailer's loaded, and boom, you're gone. He said there's no waiting, and obviously you always have a place to park, because they're not going to run you out of a Walmart parking lot if you have a Walmart trailer. So $900 a day, I can do much better than that on the on the market. But if you wanted to a real easy week, there you go, do some Walmart loads. Let's see. Again, look at this one I just pulled up at the top. Houston to Portland, Oregon. It says 69,000 pounds. And right off the bat, you're like, oh my God, weighs too much. And this one actually says it. If you look down here at the bottom, it says generator plus trailer is 69,000 pounds. I love it when they put the information in there. Most of them do not. But yeah, that's a really good load. And from my experience, these generators usually pay pretty good. So if you don't mind going to Portland, you probably get close to $3 a mile on that one or more. That's still a heavy load to take all the way up there. My old truck, I don't want to do it to her. Let's see. TQL. All right. TQL, the big boys on the block. You know, besides Schneider and JB Hunt, Total Quality Logistics is one of the bigger ones out there. And I've hauled quite a few loads for them. And I've called on quite a few. This one is this is an awesome little run. Houston to San Angelo and back, round trip with live unload. That's my kind of run. That's a day and a half. And TQL usually wants to stay around that $2 a mile mark, which, you know, it's not a terrible rate for power only. But this one has a live unload, so I would ask for a little bit more. But yeah, man, that's an awesome little run there. Perfect little out and back run. All right. Now this one you will get a little more than $2 a mile. Usually, if you look down at the bottom, it's a frack tank, and nobody likes pulling frack tanks. They have no suspension. It's just straight axle back there. So it's a rough ride, but you can usually make some good money on these. Now, normally on a frack tank, you would need a winch truck. The frack tanks don't have stands, so when I go out and do these, the first question I ask them is there going to be somebody there with a forklift to lift it up? 99.9% of the time there is. And I usually get about $3 a mile on those frack tanks. Like I said, they're a flying brick. You don't get good fuel mileage, and they're kind of rough riding, but usually they're fairly short runs, and you can make some decent money on them. Here's your normal, power only run right here. Houston to Carson, California. 1,500 miles, $3,200. That's always the going starting rate on power only. But you always gotta look at the comments. Even if you look at that and you say, "Oh crap, I don't want that," just look at the comments. You never know what it might say. This one, you need chains and binders. That's when the flatbed equipment comes in handy. But I'm not going to do chains and binders for $2 a mile. If I'm having to break out my equipment, they're going to come up on that rate, or I'm not going to do it. Now, there's people out there that I don't understand. These people taking these loads for $1 a mile, $1.25 a mile to get them back to California, but that's the nature of things. So again, some more of these Houston to Washington. Let's jump over here on this Truckstop. This is my favorite because you don't get all the repeats like you do on DAT board. For some reason, I have flatbed loads pulled up on here. I don't know why that is, but let's take a look at some flatbed loads before I switch it back over. And of course, none of them have any rates posted on them. Okay, just looking for one with the rate posted on it. Let's do this. Put in a minimum and see if there's anything that'll pop up. All right, so this is going to be lumber. Corrigan, that's right by the house. I know all these lumber places intimately. So $3 a mile starting out. I wouldn't do that because it's going to be 48,000 pounds. You have to strap it down, then you're gonna have to tarp it. $3 a mile, negative. Ain't gonna happen. Now here's a good one right here, except for the fact of where it's going. Shreveport to Seminole. I'm gonna guess that that's probably coils or metal of some type. That's usually what comes out of Shreveport. Skidded coils. Oh, this is not a bad load. If you're gonna do coils, this one would be the one you want. Skidded coils are very easy if you've got flatbed equipment, and if you got your own trailer here. But let's switch this back over to power only. I don't know why that's on flatbed. Oh, let me show you here too. On the Truckstop app, they've got more options than the dashboard. As you can see, they've got quite a few options, and one of the options that they have is right here. I'll put it right at the top so you can see it. LDOT, loadout trailers. So, instead of, trying to parse through all these power only loads to find your loadout trailer, it's got its own special category. And I don't know if there's going to be any loadouts that close to my house out in the middle of, well, especially not for $2,500. Yeah, it's a little, I'm way out in the middle of nowhere out there, so let's move it on up to about there, and then we should find plenty. Well, not plenty, just one. Okay, what is this one? Let's take a look. Well, there you go. It's a drop deck trailer, step deck. They're going to pay you $900 to take this thing to South Carolina, and you can use it. A 48-foot drop deck trailer. So you could definitely make some good money just moving that trailer. This category is great and all in this truck stop, but the problem with it is people don't use it. So it's a great idea. Some areas you see a lot more loads on there than others, but most of these carriers are so lazy, they're just going to post everything in power only. So let's see here what we got. Okay. Ooh, yep. See, you'll still get these repeats, Houston to Stockton, California, but on the DAT board, you would see 500 of those. On here, you're only going to see a few. They don't, for whatever reason, let them repeat that too often. I wish they would all at least post their starting rate or whatever their rate is. Now, I've said before, I just will not do JB Hunt or Schneider load because of the fact that the rates aren't that good to begin with, but then you have to go hunting an empty trailer and then, all that. Now, Night Swift, I don't know if you have to hunt an empty trailer. I haven't looked into any of their stuff. I haven't downloaded anything from them, but man, they actually have some very good rates sometimes on here. And here's that Houston Las Vegas run from that dump trailer. Here's Houston. It says Luling, Texas, but that's San Antonio. You can do a couple of those a day, make you $900 really easy. This one looks really low. Houston to Wichita. Let's see what this is. That I wouldn't do that. This one you can definitely call and get it up to $1,200, no problem. But like I've said before, these they're always at the $2 mark is where all these people start. I was hoping to find some of these round trips on here. Houston to Huntsville. Oh, Alabama. Now, another thing you have to keep in mind too, I'll say that these power only loads going for $2 a mile aren't that bad, and you'll get some people that are going, oh my God, I'd never take that for $2 a mile. Well, one of the things that they're not considering is most of these trailers are empty. So there's no wear and tear on your truck. You're getting really good fuel mileage. And you're not waiting. If you're doing van and you're doing it for $2 a mile, shame on you. But on these power only loads, you're not wasting any time. There's no wasted time normally, knock on wood. So you're in and out in 10 minutes. You drop it, you're in and out in 10 minutes. You're getting really good fuel mileage. So that's why I say $2 a mile isn't a bad thing. Houston to Los Angeles, I mean, that's a good rate going out there, but who wants to go to Los Angeles? Yuck. And Wilmington. Let me show you something here. See, the top one says Houston to Los Angeles. The bottom says Houston to Wilmington. It's the exact same load. Obviously, you look at the rate. Wilmington is just part of Los Angeles. It's the port out, one of the ports out there. So as far as going out west, Salt Lake City is not a bad area. You can usually find a loadout out there if you want one, and there are quite a few power only loads coming out of there. This one is a loadout. They're going to pay you, what was it, $400 to take this to Salt Lake City. But it is a reefer trailer. So sometimes you will get reefer trailers that the reefer actually works. I don't know how much I would trust them, but usually those reefer trailers, anybody that has a van load does not want to put it on the reefer trailer. So be careful about that. Port of Houston to Dallas. Now this one's offering $1,400. So right away I'm thinking, oh, it's a round trip. And it is. That's a really good rate. That's you could do that in one day. Depending on which part of the port it is, because some of those they close fairly early. But yeah, if you got a TWIC card, there you go, $1,400 a day. And a lot of these I've seen that I've called on, they have multiple of these loads. So you can just tell them, hey, put 3 or 4 of them on me and I'll do them this week. So there you go. Just a rundown of a few things around here. Let's I'm going to take a real quick look. Some of you guys are doing van, and let's get down here. Let's look at now when I'm doing 150 miles from my house in Nacogdoches, that includes Shreveport, Houston, and Dallas in there. So let's see what's available. Actually the rates on the power only side look better than these, but that's just a starting rate with their. And what I find more often than not is if you're going back west, so many these guys out here that live out in California that are new to trucking, they'll take any rate they can get just to get back to California. They don't negotiate, and it's pretty sad that you'll take a rate, especially going out to Phoenix. $2 a mile to go out to Phoenix, and when you get out there, you're not going to get anything coming back east unless you have a reefer. It's going to be hard to get anything with a good rate coming back east. But I don't know, people, and here's one going to Colton, California for $1, what, $1.20 a mile. But here's one going Houston to Midland for $2 a mile. As you saw earlier, the power only load was paying over $3. But those are just starting rates. If I was doing van right now, I wouldn't do anything for under $3 a mile, unless it's just in an area you love to drive. But there you go, real quick load board look. Hope that helps. Well, that was a quick look at the load board, and I'm procrastinating on doing these occasionally, and because I go over the same information, it seems like, over and over and over. But hopefully, just looking at it will help some of you guys. I've had a lot of requests for that. But I guess I'm assuming that most of the people that watch this are trying to get a feel for load boards and booking their own loads and are fairly new to it. And I watch a lot of YouTube videos. You can never stop learning, and can learn from anybody. And the thing that I see the most on the people that are just starting out, that are coming over to the owner-operator side and booking their own loads for the first time, is that I think the main thing I see is people that do not, either they don't trust their instincts, or they just hate the process, the process of negotiating and try to figure things out. So I guess my advice would be, just trust your instinct. I know a lot of people worry about, booking several loads in a row, and, they're giving themselves way too much time in between loads, and just because they don't trust, what they're doing, that they'll make that load on time every time and be able to get to that next load. And when you're adding in that extra time, you're also adding in no profits. You just have to trust that you're going to make every single load on time and do it perfect. And if you don't, big deal. Call the next load and say, hey, I'm either going to be late, or you can throw this back on the load board you want to. I'll find something else. They go through it every day, all day. So don't worry about those small things like that. If you're out here and you're just running, trying to make the most money, just trust that you're going to do, everything on time every time. I think what's also happening is, like I said, I watch a lot of these YouTube truckers. Most of them, when you watch their channel, they're holding up their paperwork and they're telling you, yeah, I'm getting $8 a mile, and I made $20,000 in the last 2 weeks, and just basically giving you all the sunshine and no rain. And people, when they see that, it's kind of the self-fulfilling prophecy. You want to make $10,000 a week, of course, but you will not, or you very seldom will. But when you see those videos, that's what people gravitate toward. They want that good news. They want to think that, that is what's expected. That is what you're going to make. And so they watch those videos and they say, oh, that guy, he makes it look so easy. He's making, $10 a mile on every load and negotiating the crap out of these people. And, that's all. I just got to be aggressive. And then when they come out here, they find out it's a different story altogether. But it's already, you already have the information. If you think about it, if you're watching those videos, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. I guess, most of those guys who are telling you they're making that big money, they want the subscribers, They want to make the money off of YouTube, and they don't want to, mix in the bad news. Nobody wants to hear the bad news. But just trust in yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. I see a lot of guys and gals that they jump over here to the owner-operator side. They've been watching YouTube, and they think it's going to be really easy negotiating these rates, getting these loads running, and it is for the most part. It's something that you have to get used to. Now, you don't have to negotiate every rate. If it's got a decent rate and it's where you want to go, jump on it and go. Don't worry about negotiating. And you can also, there are plenty of opportunities for dedicated runs, like the Walmart run we looked at. You can jump on that. You don't have to worry about dealing with agents every day, all day. Another thing I see is people worried about all the small things that will take care of themselves. Trust me. Maintenance, breakdowns, make sure you got a little money in the bank. Make sure you're doing you're checking your truck, doing your maintenance. Those things you can't stress out about. You can, you can plan as much as you want. They're just going to happen. Now, when I first started out, I was the ultimate fuel miser. And I drove 55, 56 miles an hour everywhere. I would average 9 miles a gallon for the week. We had a one of the companies I was at, we had our dispatcher gave out like a $50 prize to the best fuel mileage every week. And between myself and a buddy of mine, we won it most of the time. But I was always worried about, hey, I'm going to buy fuel here. It's the cheapest. And that's another thing that I think that is just, you cannot worry about. If you're stopping, if you've got a half a tank of fuel or more and you're stopping to, put 40 gallons in this state because the prices are 20 cents higher in the next state, I think you're wasting money. You're adding an extra stop in there. Every time you stop, you're wasting money. So don't add in extra stops. Just keep it simple. And I wait till I'm down to a quarter of a tank or somewhere around there, and then I just fill it all the way up, regardless of which state I'm in. It may be, 50 cents cheaper 200 miles down the road. I don't think about that part anymore. It's just a detail that you don't really need to waste time on. When people come over to the owner-operator side and they're booking their own loads for the first time and all that, I think they're not trusting themselves. That you guys have all the information. You've been driving. You know what you're capable of. I see people worrying about, booking the next load when they're not through with this load and they don't know if they're going to make it on time. They don't trust. You can't do that. You got to expect to make every single load on time, every time, and book your next load accordingly. Whether you want to book as soon as possible or whether you want to set up 3 or 4 loads in advance, you got to do the math real quick and give yourself however much time on either side, to waste. Seen a couple of people that they give themselves way too much time between loads. And if you're sitting for 8 hours, or if you drop one load at middle of the day and you're waiting to book the next load for the next day, you're wasting time. That's wasting money right there. So just trust yourself. Expect to make every load on time, every time. And if you don't, just call the shipper and say, hey, as soon as you figure it out, hey, I'm not going to make that on time. Is it all right if I'm a couple hours late? If not, you can throw it back on the load board. I'll find something else. It's that simple. Don't worry about it. So just trust in yourself. You've got all the information, all the tools already, and you know what to do. So a lot of people come out here, they give it a couple of months, they just get fed up with the process, fed up with trying to um, negotiate rates. They're looking at $1,000 truck payment every week, and they just can't do it. They want to go back to relying on that mega carrier to push them every day, and it's not for me. Some people, that's what they need, but just give yourself a little bit of time and trust yourself when you get over to this side.